Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of the Argo Bounce Podcast show with co host Nick Small and yours truly, a weekly independent talk show devoted to the CFL's 19-time Grey Cup champion, your Toronto Argonauts. And Nick, I hope you're doing well on this Thursday, July 24th, 2025. And before we get into the Argos game, I know this doesn't have anything to do with the Argos or the CFL, but there has been a lot of pro wrestlers that were in football, especially the CFL. And today, unfortunately, the Babe Ruth of the WWE, Hulk Hogan, passed away at the age of 71. And I got into wrestling because of Hogan back in the 80s.
Yeah, big loss for the sport. I can't say I follow wrestling a whole lot, but I know Hulk Hogan had a pretty big impact. I'm pretty sure he was a frequent guest at the Fan Expo Canada in Toronto. So, yeah, pretty big loss for the wrestling community, and yeah, it's a tough thing to hear, but yeah, his shape on the sport will be incomparable, just like many other top athletes. When you look at people that fundamentally change an entertainment or a sport, he was definitely one of those. So, yeah, thoughts and prayers out to his family and his supporters.
Angelo Mascow played for the Cats. He was a
King
wrestler, got
Kong.
into wrestling. King Kong got into wrestling. And The Rock was cut by Dwayne Johnson. The Rock was cut by the Calgary Stampeders in 1995. And Roman Reigns, who's a Hall of Famer in the WWE, played for the Edmonton Eskimos as well. So, and Lex Luger. So there is a connection between the Canadian Football League and the WWE.
Well, best thing that ever could have happened to Dwayne Johnson was that he wasn't good enough to play in the CFL, because that shaped his whole wrestling career and his whole acting career that followed. And now he's got Little Rock, Pebble Johnson.
Nick, I know you're not a big wrestling fan, but being around the Toronto Argonauts, is there one guy on the Argonauts you could see being a pro wrestler when their career is done?
Well, if it was a couple years ago, the easy answer is AJ Olette, because that's literally what he did. Yeah, I don't know about anybody right now. Yeah, I can't really think of anyone off the top of my head. Maybe someone with like really sheer charisma, like Winnie McManus, maybe. But I don't know if that's something you would be totally into. What do you think?
Dylan Giffen. I think Dylan Giffen would. He's got the size, he's got the looks, and I think he's got the personality. I think Dylan Giffen would make a good WWE star. And when I'm in the post game interviews on Saturday night, that's going to be one of my questions: is would you go into the WWE as a wrestler if you could? So,
Yeah,
well,
make
Nick,
for a fun topic.
yes, absolutely. So, yeah, the Argos are coming off another disappointing loss to the Alouettes. I know a loss is a loss, Nick, no matter if it's 1 point or 10 points, but they've had some devastating losses this year. Which one do you find worse, the Saskatchewan game or this one against the Alouettes where they were up 25-7 in the second half?
The Hamilton game when they got completely obliterated by their
That
biggest
one,
rival.
that one, that one.
Yeah, that
Okay.
I'd pick that because the momentum was so much in Toronto's favor early in that game. They did exactly everything that we said they had to at the
Yeah.
start to get things going, and then once Amos had that interception, it just completely flipped the table, and we were playing catch up for the entirety of the game. It made it a hard watch. Like I would if I had to compare Montreal and Saskatchewan, definitely the Montreal game was more frustrating. It's always worse when you blow a significant lead than when you try to come back and fall just short, because at least you can say, hey, the effort's there. But that's kind of been the way the whole season's went for them so far, ever since that first Montreal game where they were outplayed from the beginning. It's just kind of snowballed from there. And despite the one auto win, it just hasn't been good enough to really get them back into 500.
You make some good points, Nick, on the Hamilton game. The Saskatchewan game, that was brutal too, man. They fought their way to tie that game up and then to lose it on a special teams touchdown. That's devastating. I would say Saskatchewan would be 1 And Hamilton, I would go Saskatchewan 1, Montreal 2, and Hamilton 3. They're all brutal losses. The Montreal game specifically, because they were up 25-7. The Hamilton game, they got off to a good start, 7-0, and then the Amos pick changed the game. That was a brutal loss too, but for me, Saskatchewan, Montreal, and Hamilton, and they don't have much. I know everyone keeps saying, "Hey, it's early," but we're going on the end of July now. We're heading into August next week, and the one concerns me, Nick, is this team. I know they haven't played a lot of home games; they've only played 3, but they're 0-3, and for them to be even a playoff team, they got to start winning some games at home. And Saturday night's game is really critical against Winnipeg. I wanted to
Yeah,
ask
we.
you, Nick. Yeah,
Oh,
I want. I was gonna talk to you, Nick. I didn't get to see the game live. I had another commitment, but I kind of watched it on Score and kept an eye. But what were your thoughts on the Argos' latest loss, 26-25 to the Alouettes, and what went wrong in the second half?
yeah, talking about comparing Saskatchewan, Hamilton, Montreal. The other thing, like you brought it up, and you make a good point. As we saw with Hamilton the year before, I think they only won 2 games prior to Labor Day, and then they had a really good post Labor Day record, but were unable to really make anything out of it in terms of the playoff success. So they didn't make the playoffs. So as we know, post Labor Day, you can't just not do anything until Labor Day and then start winning. It's not going to get you there. It's too deep a hole to dig out of. The problem I have with Hamilton specifically, too, don't forget, Saskatchewan and Montreal are probably going to forget about this game come October, November. Hamilton fans won't shut up about it because Labor Day is coming up in a week, or 3 weeks. So it's going to be harped on us for a while. They don't forget it, and that's the 4th game in a row, I believe, now that we've lost to Hamilton. So it's definitely a point of frustration there from that rivalry perspective. When you're looking at the Montreal game specifically, yeah, it's a tale of 2 halves. They were really solid in the first half. Arbuckle was making really good plays down the field. McMahon was running really well. And then come in the second half, Noel Thorpe made some brilliant adjustments like he did in the first game and like he really has for the whole season defensively for Montreal. And the offense stagnated. Injuries started to pile up. The huge, absolutely crippling one for them was the injury to Anim Dankwa. He tore his ACL. He's probably gone as an old lineman. He's probably gone for 13, 14 months now. He won't be back till next Labor Day at the earliest. And then just further injuries to the O-line just kept piling up. And with that combined with Montreal's outstanding blitz packages, they just weren't able to pick those up. And the offense slowed to a crawl. They couldn't put up a single point in the second half. And the defense got worn out and got tired. So, yeah, I know everybody's going to blame it on Arbuckle for not being able to put up any points in the second half, but the O-line just took the really most unfortunate licks at the worst time. And then I forget how exactly it shaped out, but they basically had a tackle who shouldn't be playing tackle, and that's just fatal because then once Montreal sends the house, there's nothing you can do to stop it.
We have Argonaut super fan from Missouri, George Brown, watching tonight. George, thank you for watching, and remember to share this video. And if you have any comments, please do so. And George would like to come on our show in the future as a guest as well. And Nick, I wanted to get your point of view on this. What was the turning point in that second half against the Alouettes? Was there a certain player or two that really turned the game around for Montreal?
Yeah, I think I don't like picking this moment because it was really late in the game. And I think you could argue there were moments sooner when Montreal kind of started to chip away at that lead. But I think what really kind of, if the field was already slightly tilted in Montreal's favor, it really just tilted the balance. It was when Montreal made that big play. They fumbled the football. I think Silka made another play to cause a turnover over it, and Toronto got the ball back just as Montreal was looking their route to score. And then the very next play, the pressure gets to Arbuckle. He can't get the ball out, and very reminiscent to the play in the first game when he has that kind of, we talked about it. Was it enough forward motion to constitute a pass, or he let go of the ball enough. He didn't really have that motion to throw because the blitz was already tuned to the point where he didn't even gotten his arm up to throw. He gets hit, cuffs with the football, and the ball's right back in Montreal's hands. It's one of those kind of, again, like Argo bounce moments. It's the most inopportune. Not only is it a bad play, like to have it happen, but it's at the absolute most inopportune time that it could possibly happen at. And that's just the epitome of the Argo bounce of the 60s, 70s, and even early 80s, if you want to go that far.
Well, Nick, I'm just trying to get the video from the media availability today. Since you were there, Nick, and I wasn't, thoughts on today's practice and the mood of the team?
Yeah, I was really happy to be at practice. I got really lucky because there was myself, Ben Grant from X's and Argos, John Hodge of Three Down Nation, who I had never met before, and I didn't even know that was him when we were chatting up there. I thought it was just a friend of Ben's, but he seemed pretty knowledgeable. And then I realized, oh wow, that's John Hodge of Three Down, and then Josh Burton, who is like one of the video editors, and like yeah, he does like a lot of these guys who work for the team. They do a lot of things, various roles, help set up equipment and that, AV and the sports equipment for practice and all that kind of stuff, doing whatever you can, review, set up, edit film, review film. He's one of those guys. So the four of us, we were all sheltered right underneath the ratty press box. There's the little cover, so the press box is up here, and then there's a little spot of shade underneath. So the four of us are just hanging under there. Josh has the video recording equipment up, recording practice plays and stuff that the Argos are doing during their practice, and we're just all chilling under there, talking, looking at, making observations, making notes, talking about the league and stuff. I'm asking them questions about like certain things about like how things are in Winnipeg or Calgary or whatever. But the practice itself went really, really well. There was actually, normally nobody goes to practice, but there was around 100 kids from some summer camp youth organization that came down. So there were about 100 screaming kids in front of us who like wouldn't normally be at these things. There would be like 6 of us at practice, but they were there. They were really into it. The players, even the coaches, were signing autographs. This didn't happen to Josh, but one of the other AV guys working with them, kids were asked for his autograph, and it's like, why do you want my autograph? But they're like, no, we want it. And so just really fun time everybody was having. And I think it just really upped the atmosphere in practice. Everybody played hard. Everybody practiced really well. I thought this was probably one of the best practices I've been to. It's not like Ottawa where you maybe still have some questions as they pick up another loss. There's no discussions on whether Dinwiddie is losing the room or anything like that. Like it's really a sharp focused mindset within the team. So it was a really good practice from that standpoint, and I think they're motivated well facing Winnipeg, even with the record that they've got.
Argos brought in some new guys today, Nick, or this week. Can you just tell us, our audience, a little bit about some of the guys coming in?
Yeah, so all 3 of the guys that they brought in did see practice this week. 2 of them should be familiar faces. Shane Richards was the first overall pick for the Argonauts after the 2018 season. In 2019, he played 4 years in Toronto, COVID pending. And then went to Edmonton last year. They've signed him back, and he was playing left guard, I believe, through practice. So with all the injuries piling up on the O-line, it was a pretty natural signing. A Canadian free agent, a guy who knows Ryan Dinwiddie's system. Only last year when he played for Edmonton was the only time he didn't play under Ryan Dinwiddie's system, so he knows it well enough. Jaron Mitchell, who was running back, he got cut, I think, in camp, so they brought him back after they cut Kevin Brown. So I mean, I'm just speculating, but I got to think after 2 cuts, it's going to be really hard going to Kevin Brown a 3rd time saying, hey, do you want to come back and play for us? But you never know. So anyways, they're going with the new blood in Mitchell. And then Ricky Correa was a kind of the newest guy. I don't really know a whole lot about him, but if you look at when they signed Richard Pelly, I believe was him, from Edmonton, who played. They got him in, and there was that talk about could he play the nose tackle position, and maybe they play with the 3-man front. Um, Ricky's a bit of a bigger guy than even him, especially after Pelly had kind of slimmed down over last season from Edmonton. So Correa's definitely a bigger body, someone who might be more fit in that position. But yeah, I don't know how they're going to slot in. They still seem to kind of run a lot more 4-man front, at least today. I don't know if that was the plan or if they've got 3-man packages set up. They probably do, but they were only running with 4 linemen pretty much the entire time. So yeah, they all got reps. So as far as I'm concerned, they're probably all set up to be ready to all potentially dress for Saturday against Winnipeg.
They still got a concern about the rushing game. I know McCon had a touchdown, but still, they only 12 carries for 47 yards and 1 touchdown. They
He
really, he. I
He
know he
did
had some.
have a pull. Like part of why he didn't run as much in the second half of the game too. He did have it sustain an injury,
Okay,
but he looked fine today in practice.
because it would be nice to get that running game going. I know in that game Montreal had 84 yards rushing, Toronto 47. It takes a little pressure off the O line and also off of Nick Arbuckle. I thought Arbuckle was okay. 28 for 40 is not bad. 242, 2 touchdowns in the interception. And I know he had that fumble, but Sean Oakman made a great play there, and that was the change. I think that was to me the turning point of the game was Oakman's sack and the fumble recovery.
Yeah, Montreal's looked really good with their blitz packages all season. Like their defense is bar none the best in the league, and it's like whether your fantasy points can allocate enough to having them, or do you go with someone else and try to make it up in another spot? Yeah, yeah, and I
The
think those challenges in that second half come from they couldn't run anymore with McMahon injured. Montreal was able to finally get some rushing yards. They didn't have much rushing yards either at the first half, and
yeah,
then the O line for Toronto just couldn't keep up with the injuries and the blitz packages.
and you know what? The Argos have had a number of leads this year. They just can't hang on to it. I think against Saskatchewan they were up 7-0. Hamilton they were up 7-0. This game against Montreal it was up 25-7. But you know what, Nick? No lead is safe in the Canadian Football League, and you got to play 60 minutes. And the Argos really have only played 60 minutes for which about one game this year against Ottawa. So I feel against Winnipeg the next 2 games, and I know Winnipeg's got some issues too. The Argos need to play 60 plus minutes if they want to get a win.
Yeah, it's definitely been challenging for them. Like the defense hasn't been quite up to the standard as we've seen in past years, but they're also not getting the kind of rest that they did before. Um, the drives just aren't sustaining themselves long enough to really give the defense a proper rest in most situations. As I just saw, they're showing highlights or lowlights, depending on what you want to call them, and I see Coxie wide open for a pass that hits him in the chest that he lets go. Like things like that were just like things like that defensively. You have perfect coverage from Benji Franklin that still lead to a guy like Kenny Lawler making the catch. Like it's just things that aren't going their way right now this season, and it's just by now when they're 1-5, it's just snowball, unfortunately.
One positive, and I want to mention this to you, Nick, is this player has really started to develop, and he's developed a chemistry with Nick Arbuckle, and that's wide receiver Kevin Matau. 12 targets, 10 catches, 77 yards. He's really stepped up his game this year.
Yeah, well, ever since that, well, last year he was one of their top draft picks. He fell to a spot where the Arrows were able to take him, and he was probably the best ready to go out of the box wide receiver. Suffered a bunch of setbacks and injured himself in camp, and then came aboard kind of late in the season last year. And we saw in the Grey Cup game he scored that first touchdown for Toronto in a fantastic leap, and ever since then he's getting fed the ball more, and he's got that ability to put him in that kind of pseudo slot back, um, part-time running back position, kind of similar to like a guy like Chad Owens or Andre Dury was, and that's just such a super valuable threat, especially as a Canadian wide receiver. Like I think a lot of people now would forget who Curly Giddens Jr. was, with the way that Kevin Mattal's playing right now.
And I have an update from Comerica Park. The Blue Jays have exploded for 5 runs, so they're up 5-1 on the Tigers. I'm at the point now, Nick. I'm going to focus on the Argos, the CFL, and the NFL, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm hoping the Eagles don't have the same letback. It's hard being the champ, Nick. It doesn't matter if you're in the CFL, the NFL, whatever sport. When you're the defending champion, everybody's going to be gunning you too. And I know the Argos have had injuries this year too, but what other team in the CFL in the last 3 years has lost as many quality players as the Toronto Argonauts?
Yeah, that's a fair point. And I mean, you look at how look at the opposition. Montreal brought back Davis Alexander. He played this one game against Toronto, and now they lose 6 games of him for it. Winnipeg this week, Caleros goes off the field last week with they're calling it a neck injury for reasons that have to do with concussion protocol and all league bureaucracy. If they call it a head injury, then they got to go through extra hoops and paperwork and stuff. It's just political mumbo jumbo with the league. So they're calling it a neck injury, even though it's obvious he was having concussion symptoms. Zach Caleros now is he's going to play this game. If he takes a bad lick and he misses 6 games now, they're playing the champs. So everybody wants to put everything to the tool to beat us. It doesn't matter whether the Argos are 5-1 or 1-5 this season. It's what you get for being the defending champions. Everybody wants to send your licks to them, and yeah, and unfortunately, and it's not like we just saw it this year. We've seen it the year before, and we saw it the year before that, and we saw it the year before that. We've been super lucky that we've been able to draw equally as good talent out of the pool, and unfortunately you can only spring out of it so many times. Like, look at Calgary. They were in our situation 5-6 years ago, and now like they were this year, they've been great, but before that they were tumbling down to rock bottom. So it's you're gonna reach these periods of adversity, and it's just trying to find your way out of it, to be creative, to get the right people in, whether it's players or coaching staff, because definitely everybody's all aboard on the same page from what I see at practice. There's no real hurt and morale. There's no dividing of the room among the players. Like they're still very united and committed to their goal, and I think it's going to be that way even if they're 1-16 or whatever, because like if anybody's given a blank slate for a bad year, it's Ryan Dinwiddie. He's been the best coach in the CFL since he's came into the league.
No concerns with him. As for that Caleros, and this is my personal opinion, Nick, if the Grey Cup wasn't in Winnipeg this year, I don't think he would have come back. To be honest with you, I do feel it's becoming to the end of his career, and I will see. I just want to see him walk away from the game, and not get any more concussions. So
Oh
we'll
yeah,
see what.
it's the Henry Burris versus Ricky Ray debate. Henry Burris rode off into the sunset. Ricky Ray didn't in the first game of the year. He got
Yep.
blocked, and his
Yep.
career ended game 1 against Calgary, and the Argonauts season was a disaster from
That's
that
true.
point out.
All right, Nick. Well, what I'm going to do is from the Toronto Argonauts YouTube channel, please subscribe to the Toronto Argonauts YouTube channel along with my YouTube channel. I'm going to play a little media clip from today's practice at Lamport Stadium in Toronto. And first up is Wenton McManus, the heart and soul of the Argonauts defense.
What do you expect out of Winnipeg this week?
I expect them to come out ready to play. I expect them to, come out and try to move the ball. Their offense, they kind of like explosion plays. They like to pound the rock, hit the shots when they can. So it's going to take us to stand together, us playing without our eyes, and trying to get some pressure on the quarterback.
That's the biggest challenge about playing Brady Oliveira.
Man, he has a great O-line in front of him, for one. So that kind of makes it easier for a running back to hit the hole and things like that. But, he's a great back at great balance, great vision as well. So a lot of those holes and things like that the O-line makes for them, he sees it and he's ready before the snap. So, like I said, man, we got to try to get them out and run early, hit him early, and, try to just make it not a fun game for him.
What did you learn from the game in Montreal?
and it's a full 60-minute game, and we can't have little mistakes. You can't have little brain farts. You can't have any my bads, things like that. Man, the way this year is going, we got to be at our best, and we just got to play the best team football the way we can for a full 60 minutes.
So when you look at Winnipeg's defense, what do you see?
It's a really good group. They're a little bit younger than they were last year, but you can see they still have some of the same pieces, and they're just getting better. Every week on film, getting more chemistry. They're going to present a challenge just like they always do, and they have to do so.
Talk about two groups specifically, defensive backs and offensive line. Cohesion is a big word. I think it's 2 games in a row you guys have had the same offensive line. How difficult is it for you knowing that guys are maybe not as comfortable as they are if they had played next to the same guy for a full year?
It's something that, it's part of the game. And unfortunately, honestly, when you can have the same offensive line group consistently over and over again throughout the season, you count yourself lucky. It's a really physical game. It's a physical place to be. There's bodies flying around, rolling around into people's knees and things like that. And so, you're just counting your blessings when you can roll out the same 5 offensive linemen week in and week out for an entire season. So, it's part of the game, and it's why these guys are great pros. They do really well in practice, and they work together in the meeting rooms to try to be able to gel as much as they can, as quick as they can. And the young guys, the more experience they get early on in the season, I think the better they'll be as an entire group, going down the stretch.
If there's one thing that the team's done outstandingly well this year, it's been the red zone production. What do you see that's working so well?
I think I've talked about it before. I feel like we're always just putting a really good position down there from a game plan perspective. I feel like we have a lot of really good answers and a good feel for what we're going to get. And we have the weapons to really capitalize down there. The different guys that have, the ability to go up there and get the ball and make tough contested catches like you need to in the red zone. And a couple guys that are really good at creating separation on their routes with their, agility, their quickness, and the deception underneath. Because it's not easy to create separation in a very confined area when the DBs know you can't go vertically down the field. And so they're kind of sitting on their route. So having guys like Dave, and Didi and things like that are really good, with their shiftiness and things like that, and their route running really is great.
That media availability was from the Toronto Argonauts YouTube channel from today at Lamport Stadium. That was Nick Arbuckle and Whit McManus, and that was Mike Hogan in the background. The red zone offense against Montreal last Thursday night was good. 3 for 3, so that was very efficient. Unfortunately, Montreal's red zone offense was 3 for 4.
Yeah. But looking at their talk just with this approach for Winnipeg, you can kind of see they've already moved on past that. They're focused on this game coming up. It's going to be really interesting. I think what's going to be a big question for me is what kind of setup do we see from Winnipeg's offense? Like we saw in the Grey Cup game, they really didn't run the ball much. They didn't really utilize Brady Oliveira to his full potential in the Grey Cup game. And Zach was trying a lot of really deep throws, and especially late in that game that led to all those turnovers and problems. It just got desperate. But then on the defensive side of the ball, Willie Jefferson, 8 defending most outstanding lineman Ryan Hunter alive during the Grey Cup. So those are kind of the 2 things I'm going to be most interested in seeing what happens between with Winnipeg and Toronto. I think that's what makes this game and the game that falls in Winnipeg really interesting, because it's the first time they're playing since the Grey Cup. So, and like Arbuckle said, there's a lot of familiar faces, but Winnipeg's definitely got a lot younger in the defensive side.
What's the latest on Ryan Hunter? Any chance he returns this season?
I think this season there's possibility he can return. I think they put him on the 6th game. For those that didn't hear, he got hit by a car on his scooter on the way to practice last week. Again, you talk about like the worst luck that could happen. If it wasn't for bad luck, they'd have none at all this year.
Well, I think they'll start getting some good luck Saturday, and I don't know, Nick, if you have much information on this, but what's the latest on quarterback Chad Kelly? Was he even at practice today?
No, he was not at practice. Anything I say beyond that is speculation. I don't know whether it's I really don't know at this point between like a personal matter and his injury. I really don't know what the timetable for that is. Same as everybody else, it seems it's all up in the air. And honestly, if this is the kind of season that they're having together, where they're probably, unless things really turn around fast, they're probably not going to be in the playoffs. There's no point in rushing him back then. Like, what's like, why do you want to risk him in the injury for a 4-12 record or whatever, right?
I gotta ask you this, Nick, and I talked to Dimwitty too. Obviously, as a head coach, his job's to win football games. Let's say they lose both to Winnipeg and even to Ottawa the next 3 games, and they drop to 1-8. You know what you're getting with Nick Arbuckle, and this is no respect to Nick Arbuckle. I think he's done okay, and I agree with you there, Nick. But wouldn't there be a point at 1-8 if Kelly's still not ready to play? Maybe to see the young kids like Tucker Horn uh, get some more playing time and get some reps going forward?
You might, but I still think that, knowing Ryan Dinwiddie, I think he's going to probably commit to Nick Arbuckle. The way we've seen it, it's like Arbuckle hasn't been he hasn't been like Chad Kelly, but nobody is. But he hasn't been horrible. He's like, yeah, you can say, oh, he fumbled the ball there, or oh, he threw an interception there, and say that cost the game. But it's a 60-minute football game. There's many other moments, increments in the game, where things could have turned the tide for the Argos. You could say for every single catch that the opposition makes, oh, why didn't the Argo player cut in front of the guy and intercept the ball, right? So I don't like the idea of just beating up on the quarterback on one play. Arbuckle hasn't played terrible, and I put it out on tweet earlier today. Your backup quarterbacks in the East Division are Nick Arbuckle, McLeod Bethel Thompson, Matthew Schultz and Dustin Crum in Ottawa, and Tyler Powell in Hamilton. Which of those 5 would you take if you were stuck with them? I would probably take Nick Arbuckle, maybe MBT, but even I think most people would disagree with me on that. I think most people would say I want Nick Arbuckle. So
Obviously, besides the injuries, Nick, I feel the biggest disappointment on this team this year has been the play of the O line, in my opinion.
yeah, I 100% agree with you there. When you don't, it doesn't matter who you have at quarterback, and again, that's what you can look at in a lot of these situations where Arbuckle has fumbled. He's taken immense pressure, not even a chance to get the ball off his shoulder. Like, you think Chad Kelly's going to make a difference there? Probably not. And so I would agree, the O line, with their injuries of their own that they're dealing with, that's been the biggest disappointment this year, I would say.
Okay, Nick, as we wrap up this show, thoughts on Saturday's opponents, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who were off to a 3-0 start, and everyone's like, yep, 6th straight Grey Cup, but they've been humbled badly the last 2 games against the Calgary Stampeders, once in Calgary, and probably one of their worst home losses in that new stadium, Princess Auto Stadium, in my opinion.
Yeah, this could be a very interesting setup for the Argonauts game. Is Winnipeg the real deal, or is Calgary the real deal? Because and give credit to Calgary, they came into Saskatchewan and they beat them too, so they established
They're
themselves
legit.
at number one. Yeah, with Vernon Adams, and I mean there was a lot of criticism because Calgary made the decision to keep Dave Dickinson and let him completely clean house rather than replacing him. So. Um, it's working out in Calgary's favor. We'll see what happens, and that's why I think what's really interesting with this game being the first time they've played each other since the Grey Cup. What kind of Winnipeg offense are we going to see? Is it going to be like the Grey Cup game where they were almost kind of skittish and they didn't really run the ball? They tried for the home run plays really early and then it really backfired on them. Or are we going to see a lot more running from Brady Oliveira? I got to think it's going to be the latter, but yeah, you never know.
Both teams are desperate. Their Argos need a win badly, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers definitely don't want to lose a 3rd straight game and go 3-3. I don't think they're focused on losing the last 2 Grey Cups to Toronto. I think Winnipeg's focused on they want to win this game and get back into the Western Division race for first, because right now it is
Oh yeah.
Calgary and Saskatchewan, and Winnipeg is now 3-2. So to me, this is going to be like a playoff game on Saturday night, in my opinion, between these 2 teams.
Yeah, definitely for Winnipeg. They definitely still want to have a home game, and especially a home West final, knowing they got the Grey Cup. But yeah, they've definitely shown some fractures in their armor. They're not quite the dominating team like we've seen in years past. But then again, look at last year; they were 2-4 or 0. I think they were 0-3 and then
4,
2
0
and
and
4
4.
or whatever.
Yeah,
And
turned
but
it
they
around.
still ended up winning the division, so you can't take them lightly. Toronto's typically matched up well in the past, but against Winnipeg, but they've got a lot more injuries this year, so it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to hold up to it.
What are some keys to an Argos win over Winnipeg on Saturday? And we've already talked about Zach Collaros, who's probably going to start on Saturday for Winnipeg.
Yeah, I mean, when McManus brought up the important one on defense, they're going to have to find ways to shut down Brady Oliveira, because I got to think they're not going to go as pass heavy as they did in the Grey Cup. And then offensively, they got to find some pass protection to stop Willie Jefferson and the rest of the D line for Winnipeg. I think you keep it really simple, because the problem hasn't really been the wide receivers this year. They've been healthy aside from Tavares Daniels for one game. They've had their entire receiving core every single game. Janarian Grant too, if you want to throw him in, but like they've been fine on the receiving side. So it's just really, they just got to find the pass protection. You keep it simple. If you give Nick Arbuckle 4 seconds of play, he'll find someone open to get the ball to, I think.
Strong start, clean game, no interceptions, no fumbles, and the defense is going to have to make a play. I think the defense has got to get a pick six. I think if the Argos defense can get a pick six or put the Argos offense in a really good spot for a touchdown, I think that's going to be helpful. As long as the Argonauts don't beat themselves, I think they have a good chance of winning this game. And they need to win, period, but also they want to win a game at home too. They're 0-3, and I think the last time they were 0-4 at home was 2019, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so. They've had a really good home record, second to only Winnipeg since COVID. And yeah, like you mentioned, that's a year to write off and completely forget.
All right, Nick, this is a new segment on our show. It's called Chris and Nick's CFL. I'm gonna say top 9 power rankings. There's only 9 teams, so we'll change it to top 9 power rankings into week 8. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
You can go ahead first. Are you gonna do like 9 and then I do 9, or do you want to just do the whole list? Okay.
I'll do 9 and you do 9, since
Okay.
there's only, if it was a 30-team league, then I'd say no. Top 9, I've got Calgary number 1, Saskatchewan number 2, the Evil Empire Hamilton Tiger Cats number 3, the Montreal Alouettes number 4, Winnipeg drops to number 5, BC number 6, Edmonton 7, Toronto 8, and Ottawa number 9.
I missed the middle of your group, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say mine. Calgary 1, Saskatchewan 2, Winnipeg 3, Hamilton 4, Montreal 5, BC 6, Toronto 7, Edmonton 8, Ottawa 9.
I put Hamilton third right now because they've lost to Calgary, Saskatchewan, but Hamilton's won 4 in a row, and whether you like them or not, they have a very good defense, and I think the strength of that defense is their secondary.
Well, until Hamilton beats Winnipeg, I have Winnipeg on top, because Winnipeg's the only team that Hamilton hasn't won a cup since '99. Winnipeg's only won 2 cups against Hamilton since '99. So
We'll see if that changes next week, but we had a few of them. Yeah, Edmonton, I got number 7, but we'll see. This is going to change this week, by the way, and we've got Thursday night football coming up after a show. So everybody, after me and Nick are off at 9:00, make sure you turn into TSN for the Montreal Calgary game at 9:00 tonight. And Alouettes are 4-2, and Calgary's 5-1. This is going to be a very good matchup tonight on Thursday night football.
yeah, spreads leaning pretty heavily towards Calgary right now by 6.5. Probably because, as we've mentioned before, Davis Alexander's out. I think the other one that was pretty heavy favored. Winnipeg's heavy favored against Toronto. I don't have the spread here right now. But I know Saskatchewan's heavily favored against Edmonton as well. And all I'm going to say, like we've talked about it for like sports betting and that, but I will say one thing. You're often better taking the team to cover a 10 or higher point spread. It's very rare in the CFL that a team with that much of a favoritism is going to actually win by that margin. 10 is just such a huge number. So my little pro tip, if you're it's not again, it's never guaranteeing sports and betting and all that, but taking a team to cover a 10 or higher spread is generally the better move, because even when a really bad team faces a really good team, it's more likely to be closer with things like garbage time and that sort of thing.
You had another viewer besides George. We had another viewer, Robbie Schneider from the 716 Sports Blizzard podcast. Hello, Chris and Nick. Go Bills. No, we don't say go Bills on the Argo Bounce podcast show. Go Eagles. When are people in Buffalo going to realize Philadelphia has 2 rings, 2 championships? Buffalo, they're not going to ever win, Rob.
I don't know what a Bill or an Eagle is. All I know is the Argos have 19 and they're on a quest for 20.
Well, all I know is the Eagles have 5 championships, 3 NFL championships, and 2 Super Bowl rings. And I don't know if you saw their Super Bowl rings, but they were the Argos Grey Cup rings were nice, but the Eagles Super Bowl rings were something special. Really
ours
impressive.
look better. Ours look better.
I like the ones. I like them both. I like them both. So I would like one from the Argos and one from the Eagles. And Mike Hogan, the voice of the Argos, is a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm going to be on Nick's show Sunday night. So everybody, 716
Robbie's
Sports
show,
Blizzard,
not my show.
the 716 Sports Blizzard podcast show with Robbie Schneider, Sunday night, 8:30. And the only place you can watch it is on his YouTube channel. So please subscribe to the 716 Sports Blizzard YouTube channel and tune in on 8:30. I've got a lot of stuff to say that the Buffalo Bill fans aren't going to like. And me and Robbie will talk a little bit about the NFL, the CFL, of course, and maybe a little baseball as well. So, Robbie, thank you so much for watching. And Nick, since we're wrapping up this show, we've got CFL Week 8. That's hard to believe. Week 8 coming up, and we've got Montreal, Calgary, just starting at 9 o'clock tonight. And then Friday, we've got Edmonton at Saskatchewan. Saturday night, the Bombers and Argonauts. You'll be in a luxury suite, and I'll be in the press box.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I was going to mention I lucked out. So if you don't know, when the Argos have their road games and you have the Argonauts app, they do have a contest that they usually run through one of their sponsors, Coinbase, a cryptocurrency organization. Well, I entered it, and fortunately enough, I guess not enough people entered because my name got drawn. So I got 2 tickets in that Coinbase VIP lounge on same side of the field as my season tickets are. So it's very nice. So depending on, I'll go in the lounge area, see what it's like. And if I don't like the seats compared to my normal seats, I'll just pile up a plate high of food. I'll go up into my grandstand seats and I'll just start handing out chicken tenders to everybody.
You'll be in air conditioned, free food, and you'll have drinks too, right?
Yeah, probably free soft drinks, I imagine. Usually alcohol, yeah, obviously have to buy, but generally they have their own private like bar area, so like you don't have to order just out of the general concessions, but we'll see what happens. Either way, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun experience. Rather be on the field pregame like you do when you do the media stuff, but that'll be a
one day, Nick, keep doing this show, keep writing your articles, keep putting more content on social media, and you'll get your opportunities, believe me.
Yeah. Okay, so if I'll just jump into the picks just because you did the power ranking first.
Yeah.
So I've got Calgary, I've got Saskatchewan, I've got Winnipeg, sorry, and I've got Hamilton. Actually, it's very, very rare that you've got me doing against Toronto for Hamilton, but yeah, I'm just yeah, it's just a tough situation. For the record, my dad's got all the home teams, so he's picking everybody at home this week.
I wouldn't be shocked if Montreal pulled the upset tonight, but because Davis Alexander is not playing, I got to go with Calgary. Edmonton at Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan, I think, should win this game. I wouldn't count the Elks out, though. Yeah, so I'm going to go with Calgary over Montreal, but I wouldn't be shocked if Montreal pulled up the upset. Edmonton, Saskatchewan, I think Saskatchewan wins this game. Winnipeg and Toronto, my heart wants the Argos to win, and my brain says Winnipeg, but I'm going to go with the Argos winning 30-28. 30-28, and I think they're going to get a big play from the defense at the end of this game. So everyone watching this or listening to this, the Argos defense at the end of the game against Winnipeg is going to make a big play, and the Argos are going to win 30-28. And then the Sunday night game is Hamilton at BC. As much as we want BC to win as Argonaut fans, Hamilton's defense is solid and their offense is pretty good. I just think Hamilton, even on a West Coast trip, I think Hamilton's going to win this game. But BC at home could easily win this game as well. But again, I'm going to go with Calgary, Saskatchewan, Toronto, and Hamilton.
Yeah, I just think that they thumped Edmonton on the road, and then they got maybe a little complacent and lost pretty handily to Saskatchewan. They'll probably have BC will have a little bit more fight in them, but yeah, it's hard just because the way Hamilton's playing right now, very hot, and I don't know if Nathan Rourke has the ability right now to match up to that with the pieces that he's got.
I really feel the Cats have a Grey Cup type defense, but it's only 6 games. There's still another 12 games to go, and injuries can happen right now. So there's still a long ways to go. But I feel Hamilton should win this game. But I wouldn't be shocked if BC wins it. And Nick, one thing I've learned about the CFL, no matter what your record is, any team can be beaten on any given day. So there's no gimme games in the Canadian Football League anymore.
That is true.
Finally, Nick, as we wrap up this show, I was reading this up today, but thoughts on the big old Olympic Stadium being renovated, $870 million of renovations, and I've heard rumors possibly of having the Alouettes move back to the big old possibly in the next 3 years.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, what I think is going to have to justify it is they're going to have Molson Percival packed to the gills because we know that as long as they continue to play at Percival Molson, they don't go to a place like the Big O, they're probably not going to get a Grey Cup because that place just isn't suited for it, unfortunately, which is too bad because I really like that stadium. The concourse isn't great, but the field, the ambiance, it's probably the best in the entire CFL. I've said it before when I went at the beginning of the year. The backdrop's insane to have the old McGill buildings and Mount Royal. So if they do move into the Dome, it's kind of like take Toronto, how they moved from the Mistake by the Lake out to the Sky Dome. They lost a lot of ambience, and it's became kind of that weird kind of stuffy dome culture. And then they've moved back to BMO Field, and it's been great in terms of fan atmosphere. So I feel like the Owls will lose that. And I mean, Montreal is one of these cities that we've seen where it's really dependent on the quality of the product out on the field. If the Alouettes are playing well, they're consistently in the playoffs or whatever, you look at the Calvillo years, they'll be able to pack 30,000-40,000 in the Big O. If they are terrible like they were after Calvillo got injured, there'll be like 17 people, and that'll look really bad. So
Montreal has not hosted the Grey Cup since 2008. So I feel once the renovations are done on the big Olympic Stadium in the next couple years, and they're spending a lot of money, $870 million, they could have built a new stadium for less than that. I feel the CFL will most likely give Montreal a Grey Cup by 2028 at my prediction.
Well, don't forget it's not the CFL granting it. It's the teams themselves that bid for it. But I would definitely envision a bid pretty soon after those renovations are done, especially if they've proven that they will support CFL football. And again, like in the whole grand of speculating, there's probably more things to it. I think the MLS team, Montreal Impact, want part into it. Is there talks about Tampa relocating the Tampa Bay Rays in the MLB, or another MLB team, bringing the Expos back, and then coordinating that whole spiel of converting the field and whatnot. Like, again, speculation. I personally, I don't think it's suited for baseball to begin with. We've seen historically that cookie cutter domes just don't convert well. Like, soccer and football are easy, but soccer, football to baseball just doesn't work. So I think if that was the case, it would be better to build something new for a potential baseball franchise. But that's probably something that they're looking at, and yeah, we'll have to just wait and see.
Finally, Nick, where can my audience follow you on social media, contact you on social media, and do you have any Toronto Argonauts digital stories coming up?
Yeah, as always, Nick_small_38 on Twitter. I'm also on Facebook at Nick Small. Yeah, my Argo account is also at Nick. YouTube Argo's account is at Nick Small 38, same as my Twitter. I'm trying to finish up this article where I'm talking about the my experience at the Canadian Football Hall of Fame within the renovated Hamilton Civic Stadium. I'm hoping to have a written draft published, and I'm working on getting it done as like a video essay. But some of it is just taking a little bit longer than I hope. So at least with a project like this, I can take a little bit longer with it. That's one of the nice things if you approach things from a historical angle rather than like a really contemporary angle.
I think we lost Nick there. Wi-Fi issue. Okay.
If you talk about something a little older, or something, I guess, a bit more personal, or something that isn't going to change as rapidly, it's a little bit easier to cover.
By the way, you have another commitment Saturday before the Argos game, and Nick, gotta ask you this: do you like butter tarts?
Yes, that is an obvious question. My mom makes
Okay.
the best butter tarts. The rule with the butter tarts is you got to stuff them with as much stuff as possible. If you're going to do I don't care if, like, I like plain butter tarts. I like raisin or pecan butter tarts, whatever. But if you're going to do it, don't put 2 raisins or one pecan. Load the thing up. There should be like 20 raisins. Why do you ask?
Because Saturday morning before I head to Toronto, there's a butter tart festival in Elmira, Ontario, near Kitchener, and it's the best of the best butter tarts. So, did you want me to pick some up for you, and you can see how good the Elmira butter tarts are?
Well, maybe you'll have to come early down to the tailgate. I'm hoping that I'll be there early enough for it. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, if not, if you bring them into the media room, you'll probably be a hero. It is Caribbean Carnival night.
Yep.
I did hear through some chatter when I was at practice today. I think last year for the Caribbean Carnival night they did jerk chicken. I think for the media guys, I think this year they went just with pizza. But you never know. We'll see what ends up coming out. But I definitely think, especially then if it's just pizza, if you bring butter tarts, I think you'll be the hero of the press box for the week.
I'll bring some. By the way, I really like Hamilton Stadium's media press box. It is so nice, and they, as much as they, I'm saying this, but their media food was delicious. Their chicken, they have a really good buffet there too. So I like
Yeah,
both.
rub it in.
I just like their press box a little bit better because it's bigger and wider and there isn't bars blocking your view. I'm
Well,
hoping when they do renovations to BMO Field, they can renovate the media press box, in my opinion.
Well, just be glad you don't have to call the games, because one of the things Ben Grant and Mike Hogan have told me is that when they call the game, Hamilton's one of the only games that they'll go to in person for, just because it's so close, obviously. But they have to do the commentary from the 9-yard line. So it's really hard when you so behind the Argos bench, they're on that far left side. So if any plays to the far right side, it's really hard for them to get a real good gauge on, like, does he have the first down? Is it, did someone go offside? Is it a handoff or a fake? It's really hard to read for them rather than being kind of dead smack in the middle.
Well, like I said, I will try to bring some butter tarts from Amira, and I look forward to being at the game. Saturday is media, and you'll be in the luxury suite, so make sure you eat as much food as you can.
Yeah, well, like I said, if I can, I'll frickin' sneak some out, and I'll be the hero of my section, throwing chicken fingers at people.
All right. Well, Nick, hey, I want to say thank you for doing episode 6 tonight, and we will be back next week, day and time to be determined. And who knows, we might even have a special guest next week as well. And I want to say thank you to everyone watching this live stream on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, X, Instagram, and also on the audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Good Pods, and any businesses out there looking to advertise on the Argo Bounce Podcast show. You can either contact Nick or you can contact me directly at cpomay19@gmail.com. We'd love to have your business come aboard the Argo Bounce Podcast show. We've been doing this for 4 years now, and we do it weekly. And Nick knows the team as well as anyone, and I know the team from 1979 and to the present. So it's the old and younger generation Argo show, and we do talk about the other CFL teams because there are 8 other teams as well. But we really enjoy doing this, and we want to get some sponsorships on here as well, and we want to keep continuing the show, and want to say thank you to everyone watching again and listening, and look forward to next week, Nick, and hopefully we have an Argos win to talk about.
Yep, win or lose, well, we'll always look on the upside. So we'll push forward, and we'll always be here to keep talking about the Toronto Argonauts, the team we both love. So.
All right, Nick, have a good night, and we'll see you Saturday at the BMO Field with some butter tarts too.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks, everybody who's tuned in. Let's pull together. Let's drum out a win and see you at BMO Field. Go Argos.
Go Argos. Thanks, Nick. All right, guys, that concludes season 4, episode 6 of the Argo Bounce Podcast show with Nick Small and Chris Pomay, a weekly show devoted to the CFL's 19-time Grey Cup champion Toronto Argonauts. And as I'm wrapping the show up, we have CFL tonight at 9 o'clock on TSN. Montreal 4-2 and Calgary at 5-1. So it should be a very good matchup. And the Alouettes will be without Davis Alexander, and I believe Mikel Bessel-Thompson will be starting for the Alouettes. And also, guys, as media, freelance media, I'm doing Saturday for the Argonauts. Please make sure you check out my social media pages for pictures, videos, and some pre and post-game interviews, as well as attending the media press conference with Ryan Dinwiddie and some Toronto Argonauts after the game as well. So Argos, Bombers, Saturday night, July 26th, 7 o'clock. Get your tickets at argonauts.ca, or you can watch it on TSN or TSN 1050 with Mike Hogan and Ben Grant, the radio voices of the Toronto Argonauts. And as we wrap this show up, guys, the next live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, I'm a busy guy, sponsored by BarryCullen.com, is going to be on Friday, July 25th, tomorrow, at 1 p.m. Eastern with my special guest, Lanita Johnson. She's an actress, writer, and filmmaker out of the USA. So Lanita Johnson will be my special guest tomorrow. And I have another 3 or 4 more shows next week as well. So check out my social media pages for some more of my upcoming guests and shows as well. And that's about it. So I hope you guys have a great night. I'm not watching the Jays-Tigers game now. The last count, the Jays were up 11-1 over the Tigers, who are just falling apart. So anyways, I'm looking forward to the CFL action tonight and this weekend. And we will see everyone back next week for episode 7 of the Argo Bounce Podcast show with Chris Pomay, Nick Small. And as always, go Argos.
Argos will win for you. Full of fight and courage, you can't stop. They pile up the points until they reach the top. Pull together till the Grey Cups won. Go Argos, go, go, go! You can't stop. They pile up the points until